What's up, guys, and welcome back to Book of Entertainment. So today we have something very interesting that was revealed by Advocate Defo, and I'm sure you've heard about these rumors that Advocate Defo met Longwe Twala in prison, and the two spoke together. So that story was reported back some time long ago, something like last year, I think, and at that time, we didn't have the details of what occurred in that interview between Tefo and Longwe Twala. But now, today, we now finally have the details of what occurred in that meeting between Longwe Twala and Advocate Tefo. So, Advocate Tefo now claims that whilst he and Longwe Twala were both in prison, Advocate Tefo says he personally obtained an affidavit that was dictated by Longwe Twala. So, in that sworn statement, Longwe Twala allegedly confessed that Khumalo mistakenly shot and killed Senzo Meyiwa. According to the affidavit, Longwe Twala was outside the house when he heard the gunshot. He then rushed inside and found Kelly crying and holding a bleeding Senzo. Moments later, the rest of the occupants then entered the house. So this is part of the statement that was dictated by Longwe Twala. Is Advocate Defo, was listening or maybe writing down. But there's a challenge here, a loophole that is occurring here. If you did spot it, because it says Longwe Twala was outside the house when he heard the gunshot. He then rushed inside and found Kelly crying. So Advocate Defo goes on, to claim that Kelly Khumalo shot Senzo by mistake. He takes that, from this statement that was written by Longwe Twala. This is where he bases his allegation from. But the challenge here is that he says Longwe Twala was outside. So if Longwe was outside, how did he see what was occurring inside the house? It's a loophole that is there. But moving on, Defo alleges that he tried to hand this affidavit both to the NPA and the deputy judge president. He was insisting that the NPA do have this document, and the deputy judge president received the document. But the defense, that is the likes of Advocate Mnisi, he offered them, but they did not use it. So that is what Advocate Defo says. He says he offered this statement to the defense, but they rejected it. Is that really true? I doubt, that the defense team would reject that statement if it were given to them. I really doubt that so much, because those guys, they are looking for evidence, that might assist these 5 accused. Maybe the defense, they saw this affidavit, this statement from Longwe Twala is not credible enough. Maybe that could be the reason why the defense then rejected that statement. Because it kind of makes sense for the defense to rely on Longwe Twala coming to court and testifying in person himself, rather than the statement from that is being said is coming from Longwe Twala. It's coming through Advocate. Therefore, the reason why they would avoid that the statement, it is because of the person, Advocate. Therefore, the way that he is viewed and perceived at the Meyiwa trial, they do not see him as somebody stable, So that could be the reason why that document was rejected. So Advocate therefore made it clear that Longwe Twala was the one who was speaking, and Tefo was the one who was writing down. So one of the challenges, with this entire affidavit that is said is coming from Longwe Twala, it has so many inconsistencies that can make you be like, really, like, for example, during that episode with McG, Advocate therefore said what actually happened was Khumalo was handing over the firearm to Senzo Meyiwa. That's when the trigger was then pulled by mistake. But the challenge now is that later on he says Longwe Twala was outside the house. So Longwe Twala did not see all of these events, especially at close distance, which begs the question as to, so who saw it all, from a close distance? Advocate therefore did not touch on that. And that makes him kind of like a little bit questionable. So there is one like major problem, because there was a time, I remember when Advocate therefore was saying it's Longwe Twala who pulled the trigger by mistake. And it was said it was near Zandile Khumalo's feet. And then Senzo took the gun and gave it to Kelly Khumalo. So that version of events, it's no longer being talked about. So it makes these revelations to be a little bit like skeptical. So this guy Advocate, therefore, the more he speaks, the more he just contradicts himself. And he actually says, that the defense lawyers, they're in agreement with the legal aid, to continue with the case until the accused are found guilty. He does not have, evidence to back up what he just said. So I think it's best for Advocate, therefore, not to continue speaking. I think it might be best for him, just to kind of keep quiet, and just let things be. But at the same time, I'm hearing that therefore is going to be appearing on a Season Mpofo's podcast. I've been hearing that it has already been shot, so it's going to be released sometime soon. But anyway, so listening to Advocate therefore speaking back and forth, listening to him attentively, you can see that therefore actually wants himself to be back in the Senzo Meyiwa trial. I think that's why, he is continuously speaking about this case, wearing that t-shirt with Senzo Meyiwa and revealing all these things that he is revealing. It is because he wants to be back in the stand, but it's unfortunately for him, he's been struck off the roll and there is no way that he is returning back. But this is like a public way for him to seek sympathy with the public, for the public to sympathize with him so that maybe they can find a way for him to return back to the trial. But anyway, we'll be seeing as time will be going on. I'll catch you guys on the next one.